Hello everyone. In this video we're going to talk about how to get started with makeups, demos, and drop-ins in Main Street Sites. And the reason we group these together in a getting started video is because they're all quite similar. They use a very similar approach in terms of how they're put together. So once you understand how one works, you have a great leg up on how the other ones work as well. So we're going to review them together, and then you can use whichever module you'd like to use. So we're going to review some examples. We're going to see how you turn these things on by going to Semester. We're going to look at the settings for makeups, demos, and drop-ins. We'll see how you add web page content, how you add these things to your menu, and how to update the notifications, email and text notifications associated with makeups, demos, and drop-ins. So let's get right to it. First thing we're going to do is review some examples. We've already talked about how these things are quite similar. Let's take a look. I'm on the back end of Main Street Sites. I'm going to go to View My Site to pull up a sample website here. And under Classes, I've got Schedule a Makeup, Schedule a Demo, and Schedule a Drop-In. Let's just take a quick look at makeups. For makeups, we have this little policy page. You can turn that off if you don't want to use it. But for now, we've got it enabled, and it takes us to a list of available makeup slots. You've got some columns you're displaying and how many seats are available, and a little option to go ahead and schedule that. I won't go too deep into that, but if I were to go to Schedule a Demo, we're going to see something very similar. There's a policies page. Again, you can disable it. And again, I've got a schedule of openings and seats I can go ahead and schedule if I'm one of your customers. So the demos and makeups we see are quite similar. They've got notifications and settings associated with them. We'll take a look at that. If we continue on and we look at Schedule a Drop-In, we've got some slight differences here because drop-ins are paid and demos and makeups are not. So you have more of a customer order here. But at its heart, you've got the same kind of availability. You've got different days and different slots available. Here you've got a price, which makes it a little more interesting, but still using the same underlying mechanism. So that's a couple of examples of how makeups, demos, and drop-ins look on the front end, your customer-facing website. Let's see how you turn it on the back end. So over here on the back end of Main Street Sites, the first thing we do if we want to turn on one of these things is we go to the semester. I'm going to go to Setup, Semesters, and I'm going to go to My New Semester here. And you'll see if you go to your semester that you've got these little sections that let you turn things on and off. And for the makeup scheduler, the demo scheduler, and the drop-in scheduler, we've got these same kind of on-off switches. Let's take a look at the demo scheduler here. We've got it here turned on. We can say when classes should start showing up. Maybe I put in a date because I don't want them to show up right away, or I just leave it blank. And I can have a date when the classes stop showing. And a couple other options. So I can say the demo should not be scheduled for any date past the end date indicated above. It's a slight subtle shading there. I'm controlling when they stop showing and also when the last date a makeup should be scheduled for, or demo in this case. Some other options here. I can allow unused registration seats to be used by the demo scheduler. And in that case, I can say when I want that to start. The interesting thing there is you can say, hey, any unused registration openings, make them available to the demo scheduler or the drop-in scheduler or the makeup scheduler. But typically you want to get your main registration activity over with before you start offering those up. And that's why there's a date here. So you'd probably wait for that to quiet down before you started putting those seats out for anybody to grab. You can also have fixed seats available for makeups, demos, and drop-ins. We'll talk about that when we get to settings. So this is a variable way of allocating seats. And similarly, this one says, hey, if anyone's marked absent in an upcoming class, you can use those slots as well for, in this case, demos. I could have done the same thing for makeups, though. As we see, we've got a real parallel setup here for our makeups, demos, and over drop-ins, we've got the same kind of things. And we'll also have one extra kicker here for drop-ins, which is we've got a price set. We'll talk about that in a separate video, but drop-ins have their own pricing. Okay, so we're on the semester. We've turned on what we want to use, makeups, demos, and drop-ins. And our next step is to look at the settings for those things. Each little module has got its own settings. So if we go to Setup, if we go to this little section, makeups, demos, and drop-ins, we've got makeup settings, demo settings, and drop-in settings, and also drop-in pricing. So let's take a look at an example here. Let's go to demo settings. And if we go to demo settings, the first thing it does is it lists out our active semesters, and it tells us, hey, do you have any slots open in those semesters? And in the semester we were looking at, we've got 21 upcoming class meetings with open seats. This is real helpful if you're trying to figure out whether or not you've opened up your semester for the thing you're working with. In this case, we've got 21 slots available. Pretty good. Other settings we'll see here. We've got the option to include or require usernames and passwords. They've all got this capability. You can let people just go ahead and sign up by filling out a form and not logging in, or you can require them to have an account or let them do it either way. This section here is going to talk about how many seats we should set aside in each class meeting, really, when the class meets, for makeups, demos, or drop-ins combined, sort of the total pool, and then how many of those should be demos. So here we're saying there should be a pool of 2 seats in every time a class meets, and 2 of those could be demos, 2 of those could be something else. So we've got this idea of kind of a maximum number of seats you're going to set aside, and how many of those can be demos. And we'll be able to do the same things for makeups and drop-ins. You might, in our example here, we're going to see that there's a pool of 2, and they could be 2 demos, they could be 2 makeups, they could be 2 drop-ins. We don't care. It doesn't matter. We're just going to make them available to our families. And this thing here is talking about the default for new classes. So this is just a place where we set that up. Now, if you're somebody who's using unused registration seats and you don't really want to set aside any seats automatically, you might just set this to 0 and say, you know what, by default, no seats are going to be set aside. I'll wait and see what classes fill up. And if a class hasn't filled up, I'll just make those seats available. So you would, in that case, you would just set your defaults to 0 here. So you've got some options. I'm going to leave it set to 2 for now, though. Okay. If we continue down, we've got some more settings. This is just examples of things you can do. We can set the maximum number of demos per student, per semester, per calendar year. We get different requests for different ways to kind of restrict demos. We've got things like advance notice. People have to schedule these a day in advance, for example. You've got an access code if you want to have a sort of a lockout so that only people who have this code can go ahead and sign up for a demo or makeup or drop-in. Just a way to sort of create a layer of security there. That's more often used with makeups, but you might see it with demos as well. More restrictions, like an account with a prior enrollment won't be allowed to schedule demos. If we turn that on, that's pretty common if your demos are really just a sales tool and you don't want people just scheduling them again and again. Security feature here for your staff. If you don't want them to see contact info, we can leave that turned off. So when they get a copy of a confirmation, they won't be able to see the family's contact information. More options here going through demo scheduler settings. We can say that we should only be showing 2 weeks worth of demos. We don't want to show the whole semester's worth. We want to fill up the near-term demos first. And that'll just be a little rolling window. We've got some options for how accounts are created. When a demo is scheduled, we'll go ahead and create an account on the back end if you'd like us to. We've got reminder options. This is pretty typical. We're probably going to want to turn this on and say, yeah, I want to send my families a reminder notification, in this case 24 hours before the scheduled demo. And I might want to send that by text as well if that's something that you've turned on for your account. See the video and help on SMS texting if you have any questions about that. And demos are a little special. They've got follow-up notifications where you can send a follow-up that says, hey, thanks for attending the demo. Hope you enjoyed it. Please register for classes, etc. So you can turn that on as well. It works very in a similar fashion. So that is an example here of a settings page. We went through demo settings. I'm just going to illustrate that we've got makeup settings, and they're very similar, a couple different options, but very similar kinds of things with reminders and restrictions. The makeup restrictions are going to be a little bit different. For example, we might require that you're enrolled in the same semester before you can schedule a makeup in a given semester, that sort of thing. The drop-in settings are a little more advanced. We're going to take a peek there because there's some neat stuff there. We've got some of the same settings, but we've also got some terms overrides. This is a new thing that you'll see more in Main Street sites. Not everyone calls a drop-in class a drop-in. You might want to call it a something else, and in that case, you can use your own custom term for that if you like. And if you don't want to call a student, or you want to call a student a registrant or an attendee, really doesn't matter. You can put whatever you'd like there, and the system will use that instead. And here we've got a lot of the similar settings with regard to follow-ups and reminders and things like that. Okay, we took a look at the settings pages. The next thing on our list here is to update the web pages. You'll remember we saw some welcome text when you went to your makeup scheduler and drop-in scheduler. If I go to website and built-in pages, we can visit our makeup scheduler, our demo scheduler, and here's our drop-in scheduler, and we can edit that text. So if I go to makeup scheduler, we can see the text for our makeup scheduler. We had some restrictions there, requirements. And if you've got the welcome panel activated, that's where this will show up. And if you've turned that off, then this will show up on the secondary page. That setting, by the way, we mentioned it before, that'll be on the settings tab of the makeup or demo scheduler. So if I click on settings here, there should be a setting that says to turn off that landing page, that guy right there. There's also a layout used for the makeup and demos and drop-in scheduler. We won't go into that too much here, but that's what controls the columns that show up. If you see the video on named layouts, you'll see how to update a layout. Each settings panel will call out the layout that it's using, and you can go and find that in named layouts. We're not going to get into that in this video, though, but suffice to say, you can change the columns that display on those pages if you'd like to. Let's see, you've activated your makeup and demo and drop-in scheduler. You've added some web page content. You need to add it to your menu. You'll remember that over here on our sample website, we had added it to the menu in this way. Obviously, you could do it however you'd like. But just to show how that would happen, you'd go to website, you'd go to site options, you'd go all the way over to custom menu, and here we see where schedule a makeup, schedule a demo, and drop-in were added to the menu. And if you've worked with the menu before, you know you can add items by clicking on add, and I'm just going to click on this as an example. Here's our makeup menu item. It's got a caption, and it points to a built-in page, the makeup scheduler. It could have pointed to the demo scheduler, but this one obviously is the makeup scheduler. And it's a child of classes in this menu, and I'm showing it all the time. If you wanted to be fancy, you could say it only happens when someone's logged in. It's only seen then, but in this case, it just shows each time. So we would want to add those items to your menu, however you'd like, to get those exposed on your website. Last item on our to-do list here is to update and review the email and SMS text notifications for the features that you're using. That's going to be under communications. It's going to be under notification templates. So here, as you've probably seen before, we've got a long list of notifications. If I'm working with the demo scheduler, I would just type in demo, and here's all my notification types for the demo scheduler. And maybe here I just want to update the demo scheduled notification. And if I open this up, we might have some sample text in here already. We've got a subject. We can change that to something more informative or more personalized if you like. You've got top content here. You've got thank you for scheduling a demo class. We look forward to seeing you. You can add whatever you'd like there. The middle content, that's added automatically. That's the location and time and teacher and type of class, all those sorts of things. And the bottom, you can put your content as well if you have instructions or links or anything you need to add there. Similarly, there's a little slightly more advanced feature as we get to the bottom of this template. If you do want to personalize, you can add the student's first name, the contact's first name, etc., or some account information to the notification if you want. That's just standard for all notifications. So you go ahead and make the changes you want here and then save and return to update that notification. So you might do that with your demo, makeup, or drop-in notifications if you want to personalize them or add a little extra information. See the email on personalizing or customizing built-in email notifications. For details on that, we won't go into that in detail here. Okay, that has been our review of getting started with makeups, demos, and drop-ins. There's a lot more you can get into, but this will get you started on any of those. If you have any questions, as is often the case, we're going to send you to help to give you a little guidance. Obviously, you can call us. In this case, I'd suggest you go to Concepts and then go to, say, Makeup Scheduler, Demo Scheduler. There you're going to find an overview and some detailed articles. That's a great way to kind of dig in. The overview is good. It kind of covers the whole sort of picture, what it looks like and what the features are for, much as this video has done as well. But that's there for you if you like. Okay, thanks so much for watching.